This is New York, a miracle city, a city of tall buildings, narrow dark streets, magnificent parks, broad avenues, homes and schools, stores and theaters and palatial hotels. A fascinating city, an incredible city. The commercial, financial, trading, and cultural heart of a great nation, the United States of America. Across the river from Manhattan lies the borough Brooklyn, which in turn is flanked by the borough of Queens.
Queens is known as one of the most diverse communities in the world. There are more than 150 different languages spoken in the borough, which makes it one of the most ethnically and culturally diverse counties in New York City. Since 1965, immigrant communities from all parts of the world have made Queens their home, leading to a great diversity not only of ethnicity, but of gender, religion, and culture. We will focus on the area of 3 specific neighborhoods: Jackson Heights, Corona, and Elmhurst. This area will work as a living laboratory for ideas that intend to highlight the community's ability to learn through culture and art.
Acuérdense que Manhattan ya está muy lleno y la gente se está viniendo a Jackson Heights, que no lo miraban antes, ahora sí lo miran.
Esa es auténtica aquí. Y eso, el bit lo va a destruir.
TLC likes to use the word neighborhood. So if you're a new student, copy the word neighborhood in the backside, please. Copy this, neighborhood. Right now we're sitting in which neighborhood? Jackson Heights. Jackson Heights is a neighborhood. Flushing is a neighborhood. Astoria is a neighborhood. Sunnyside is a neighborhood, yes?
So if I ask you, why do you want to be citizens of the United States, what do you say?
We are usually taught to think that architecture and people are in 2 separate categories: objects and subjects. But what would happen if we started thinking of architecture as a subject? This would allow us to understand plural identities, different forms of comprehension, social practices, and ways to relate. This is an opportunity to understand how a space can learn. It means to rethink the relationship between the architect and the user, inhabitant or visitor, the subject, and the built space, the object. It means to create architectures that are defined by experiences, life stories, wishes, values, beliefs, and perspectives of the different actors involved in a context. The main task will be to think about spaces that can learn from communities and people who inhabit them. The project will be divided into 4 parts. Each will work as an act of translation between different media, materials, and disciplines from other spaces. This first exercise wants to open up our understanding about architecture to new concepts as we find spaces, buildings, or moments in which normality is suspended. A heterotopia. The students must find and analyze successful meeting places in the city. May they be real or imagined or hidden behind common sites. The idea is to understand how the sacred, the taboo, the eccentric, the abnormal, the secret, the extraordinary, the transgressive, the frivolous, or simply the aimless can have a place within the city. A toy for the other. Playing can become a common language to promote moments of interaction that can take citizens to intimate environments to foster more genuine and critic dialogues. Students will design toys or games to facilitate interaction with people from diverse backgrounds. The objective, the students will learn from the other, as they would be researching different comprehensions, meanings, and limits within 6 common topics that affect everyday life in the way of learning how to live in New York City. How do we celebrate? How do we grow? How do we love? How do we solve conflicts? How do we mobilize? How do we produce? Intersectional devices for communication. Even though there are common points within communities, each individual's identity consists of multiple intersecting factors, and, in fact, some prefer to use the plural word identities, emphasizing that identity is fluid and changes throughout one's life. By using the New New Yorkers program from the Queens Museum as a starting point, the students will propose communication tools and exercises that will work as opportunities to build together with the citizens narratives about the singularities within the different issues and limits that Queens and its inhabitants face. This device aims to build an understanding of common points within communities and individuals that can impact the way we relate. Architectures that learned from the limits. The final exercise proposes to design architectures that act and work as tools for mediation by bringing together the possibility of constructing spaces where limits should be broken and citizens should have a place to negotiate their ways to behave without losing their fundamental identity values. Rather than design buildings, we want to produce growing and changing artifacts according to particular or temporal circumstances. The space itself must be a strategy that admits changes, accidents, and interchangeability, thought more as a method than as a permanent shape. The project should become a strategy to create dynamic spaces that will learn how to react to people's behaviors. Additionally, students will create an audio-visual to document their projects and be able to show spaces in alternative ways that go beyond architectural practice and that can find ways to speak to any public. Using video as a common language that affects space as well, the decisions made when composing an image act as lines that trace an imaginary space.